I'm Allie. Being a Mainer, I always get asked, what are the best ways to cook a delicious Maine lobster?
What is the best way to get the lobster into the pot? I'm scared to get the lobster into the pot. Sure that when I put them into the pot, they're not whacking their tail and I'm not freaking them out. It freaks me out. It freaks the lobsters out. How do I prevent that?
So the best way I would recommend is a technique I like to call lobster yoga, or the lobster headstand. It's an old French technique. So you'll flip the lobster over, claws under the head. So a little headstand, like if you were in yoga on your elbows, lobster headstand, and then you just sort of tuck its tail back and rub its head for about a minute until it calms down. When that lobster has calmed down, its legs will sort of sink to the side. You can lift your lid on that steaming pot up and put the lobster in claws first. As long as your pot and lid are big enough and you keep it in there, it will sort of stay in that sleeping position and the lobster will not flop around. My final tip pre-cooking is take the bands off. Do you have any guesses what the top 3 ways to cook a lobster are? Now, the first way we're gonna cook the lobster is the tried and true best way to cook a lobster, and that is to steam the lobster. My grandfather actually used to say that anything but steaming the lobster should be a certified crime in the state, and steaming was the only way to go. We do have 2 other cooking methods to talk through, but steaming is my personal favorite. So let's get going on that. The second way we're gonna cook our lobsters today is boiling them. So we're going to get these lobsters submerged into the water. This is only my second favorite way to cook the lobster, as I believe, and I'll coin this here, lobsters are seasoned by the sea. They have done the work of living in the water for about 8 years by the time you're eating them. They've been living in that delicious Maine ocean water behind me, and we can't recreate that in the time it takes to boil a lobster. So I tend not to submerge my lobsters, again, given what my grandfather said about that being a crime, but we'll show you this technique, as I think when you season the water, you can get some additional flavor imparted into the lobster that maybe if you're using it for a risotto or something where it's a bit more necessary that the lobster has flavor, I think that's where we might recommend boiling. So let's get boiling. And the final technique I want to talk through on how to cook the perfect lobster today is grilling. I really believe you should be either steaming or boiling your lobsters prior to putting it onto the grill, with Maine lobsters being pretty thick. We want to ensure an even cook time. It's gonna do some funky things to that flavor. It tends, if you don't watch it perfectly or over butter it, to dry out pretty easily. So today we're going to be just par cooking those lobsters, probably steaming them and then taking them to the grill. I think baking is a good option, baking/broiling, if say you're doing a bake stuffed lobster or something like that. So we're only going to be baking and grilling after some par cooking, at least in my personal opinion.